The unexpected houseguest who nearly tore our marriage apart on our celebration night. I heard his phone buzz at midnight, right after the champagne cork flew across the room, and when I saw the sender's name, my heart skipped a beat. My name is Emily, fake name, I'm 32 years old, and tonight was supposed to be the night I finally felt at home again. The room smelled like roses and leftover candles, sticky with spilled wine. Music thumped somewhere down the hallway, but all I could hear was my own pulse pounding in my ears. Across from me sat Mark, my husband of 6 years, charming as ever with his tailored suit and perfect smile. He'd pressed me to host this friends and family dinner, saying it would shake off the gloom I'd been battling since our move. I agreed, though my stomach twisted in knots every time I thought about mixing his high school buddies with my city colleagues. Seriously, you're tense. Mark leaned forward, voice low. A sliver of lamplight caught the edge of his jaw. You'll be fine. Look at you. Everyone's here because they love you. I forced a grin. Yeah, I know. It's just a lot of faces, that's all. My breath hitched when I caught my reflection in the window. Pale cheeks, mascara streaked from earlier nerves, fingers curling around my wine glass so tight the stem creaked. I remembered how, as a kid, I'd fantasized about being the hostess with the mostest, surrounded by laughter, clinking glasses, the warm glow of friendship. But tonight felt like walking a tightrope in stilettos. Do you need more wine? Julie, my best friend since college, slid in beside me, her voice soft. She'd flown in just for this dinner. You look like you're about to faint. I laughed, though it sounded hollow. A little, yeah? She patted my arm. Remember, they're on your side. I nodded, shoving down the doubt. For weeks, I'd planned the menu, the playlist, even the fresh flowers and mismatched faces. Tonight was more than a party. It was my statement that we belonged here, that my life hadn't unraveled when we packed up and left everything behind. Plates of roasted vegetables and herb-crusted chicken slid past me, neighbors leaning in to compliment the spread. Laughter ricocheted off the walls. It looked perfect. Too perfect. Across the table, Mark's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, his brow knitting for a split second before smoothing into that practiced grin. Sorry, he murmured, slipping it into his pocket. I felt a twitch of unease. Something about the way he tucked the phone away made me flinch. I sipped my wine, taste sharp and metallic. Every nerve in my body prickled. A toast rose up as someone clinked a glass. I joined in, but my mind raced back to the nights he'd come home late, helping with the move-in, all too eager to brush off my questions. And those sudden conference calls, at odd hours, the hush when I wandered too close. Emily, you're so quiet tonight. Mark's voice cut through my thoughts. He reached for my hand and squeezed it. I smiled again, but this time it faltered. Just thinking, I said. I felt Julie's eyes on me, her silent question. I shifted, ready to ask Mark who was texting him so late, but the fork clattered against my plate as my hand jerked. He leaned closer and whispered something I couldn't catch over the music. The warmth of his breath felt both comforting and foreign. My pulse kicked up a notch. It was then that I noticed my own phone lying face down on the table, buzzing in time with his pocket. A sudden impulse made me snatch it up. The screen lit my face, one unread message from not a name I recognized. My heart froze. I tapped it open with trembling fingers. I whisked my phone away from the table like a thief, heart pounding so loud I thought everyone would hear. Weeks ago, when Mark and I first scoped out this old townhouse, I'd fallen for its creaky floorboards and stained glass windows. I could already taste the future, weekend breakfasts around that sunlit nook, candles flickering through the stained glass, laughter echoing off the walls. I'd convinced myself this move was our fresh start, my dream, his compromise. That afternoon, I remember brushing my hand across the oak banister, imagining our names carved into it like teenagers in love. I'd smiled so hard my cheeks hurt, and Mark had tucked a stray hair behind my ear. You're ridiculous. He'd laughed. But I love you for it. Back then, I trusted him completely. I trusted the way he said, we, instead of I. The way he planned surprises, Saturday picnics in the park, secret road trips to the coast. Those little things were how I measured love. But 2 nights before tonight's dinner, I got a strange call. An unknown number, crackling with static. "Emily Parker?" it asked, voice hesitant. I said yes. A pause. Then a female voice, low and urgent. "I think you should know what he's been hiding." I froze on the spot. Hiding? My mind flashed to the late-night text I'd seen flicker on his screen, just out of view but always timed right when I looked away. I'd chalked it up to work friends or group chats. I'd slapped on my healthiest dose of trust. That call went nowhere. I rang back, but it was disconnected. My stomach churned, but I rationalized, maybe a prank. Maybe wrong number. But I couldn't shake the unease. Tonight, standing in that flower-scented dining room, I realized my instincts hadn't been lying. A tapping at the front door jolted me back to the present. The click of heels on the hardwood made my chest tighten. I turned. "Sorry I'm late," a voice chimed, and in stepped my sister, Laura, fresh off a late train, hair damp from an unexpected rainstorm. Her olive trench coat left muddy patches on the rug. I caught a whiff of her new perfume, crisp and floral. She shrugged it off and flashed her trademark crooked grin. "Traffic was hell," she said, peeling off her coat. Her eyes swept the room, landing on Mark. She gave him a quick hug, then planted one on my cheek. "Em, you look like you're about to pass out." Behind her, our childhood innocence walked in. The way she chased me through the sprinklers in July, the pillow fights in our cramped shared room, whispering secrets until dawn. Even now, her presence felt like home. But there was tension in her smile, too, a hardness around her eyes. I noticed how she scanned Mark as if sizing him up, then softened when she caught me watching. "I didn't want to miss this," she said, voice low, almost too casual. "I've got to fill you in on the latest." She gave me a knowing look that made my skin prickle. "How are you?" I asked, but my voice sounded thin. She shrugged and leaned in conspiratorially. "You'll see." I watched her slip into a chair next to Julie, settle with a grace that masked steel. Her arrival changed the energy in the room, like someone flipped a switch from warm golden light to harsh neon. Guests smiled, glanced between us, felt the shift. Mark gave a polite nod, then slipped away toward the kitchen. I followed, needing air. The hallway was cooler. The scent of roasting chicken faded under the weight of my thoughts. Laura caught up. Her heels clicked behind me. "What's up with you?" she asked. "You're pale." "I'm fine," I muttered, sliding my phone back into my pocket. She looked skeptical. "Em, you know I wouldn't come all this way for nothing." I swallowed. "There was a text." My voice trailed off. "Tell me." I hesitated. But before I could speak, a crash sounded in the dining room, silverware clattering, a gasp. I sprinted back, Laura at my heels. Mark was standing over the table, eyes wide, a shattered wine glass at his feet. Someone was pointing at the message on his phone, lit up for everyone to see. My stomach plummeted. Laura grabbed my hand, whispering, "I'm here." I forced my legs to keep moving, muscles burning. My phone felt like a stone in my pocket, too heavy with truth. The moment that wine glass shattered, the room went electric, voices spiked, forks paused midair, and I felt all eyes lock onto us. "Mark?" I whispered, voice barely audible over the sudden hush. He leaned back, fingers splayed, chest heaving. "It's nothing," he snapped, cheeks flushing. Laura pushed through the cluster of horrified guests, eyes fierce. "Nothing shatters a glass like that, Mark." "What was it?" He jerked away from her, posture rigid. "Can we not do this now?" Julie's brow furrowed. "Right now is exactly when." A murmur rippled around the table. "What's going on? Some kind of secret? Is it that text?" I swallowed hard, throat dry. The crumbled glass glittered at Mark's feet like shattered trust. Heat bloomed in my face. "Show me," I said, voice trembling. He glanced at my sister, then looked away. "It's private," he muttered. Laura's jaw clicked. You think so? You think sitting on your phone while I'm hosts and your sister flies in is private? My stomach lurched. My vision tunneled to the table's edge, past the scattered shards. I'd rehearsed confrontation speeches in my head, calm, rational, tough, but now my mind scrambled. I cleared my throat. I deserved to know. He hesitated, then dug the phone from his pocket. The screen glowed with that ominous message. Can't wait to see you tonight, winky face. Gasps punctuated the air. My mouth went dry. Laura crossed her arms. Who is that? He exhaled sharply. It's Anna. From the Move crew. I blinked. Anna? One of the helpers we'd hired to unpack. I'd barely spoken to her. There's nothing wrong with texting a contractor. His eyes flicked to mine, sorrow pooling in them. She's not a contractor. My breath wavered. Then who is she? He rubbed his forehead, voice cracking. Was an old friend. From college. Julie leaned in. Friend how? Just friend? He closed his eyes. We had a thing freshman year. But it ended. Laura's eyes narrowed. Ended how long ago? He opened them, and I saw the guilt. 3 years. A silence deeper than any crowd noise stretched between us. I noticed the chandelier's soft glow, the faint scent of rosemary from the chicken, and the way my heart thundered so loud it felt like it might break my ribs. I forced air into my lungs. Then why are you texting her can't wait to see you tonight? His face crumpled. Because she caught me off guard. She's here. Here? Even I sounded incredulous. He shook his head, running a hand through his hair. She showed up tonight. Said she wanted to catch up. I didn't want to. Laura cut him off. You didn't want to, why? Because you knew you'd be in my sister's house? Surrounded by her friends. Your wife's sister? Her voice rose. Is that respectful? I winced at how sharp her tone was. Guests shifted, uncomfortable. One guy cleared his throat, eyes darting away. I struggled to steady my voice. I thought it was just a harmless visit. She sounded upset about something. Upset? Laura's laugh was brittle. About what? You leaving her behind when you moved away? Mark's shoulders slumped. She said she missed me. Said it was selfish to cut her out. My pulse jumped. You cut her out? He nodded. After she tried to kiss me. I told her it was over. My skin prickled. And that gave her the green light to show up at my party? He looked at me, eyes pleading. She didn't know it was your party. She thought I was single. A crack of tension slashed the air. I stared at the text again, no name, just that grin emoji. That little wink felt like a blade. Julie reached across, squeezing my hand. I'm so sorry. Guests whispered among themselves. Should we go help? Do we even know what happened? I turned back to Mark. So what now? You going to tell her no and come back to dinner like nothing happened? His gaze fell to the floor. I don't know. Laura rounded on him. You're going to sort this out, one way or another. Right now. He met her glare, then my eyes. Sweat beaded on his forehead. The air felt too warm, too close, and I realized my palms were slick. I raised my voice, more steady than I felt. Mark, you need to choose me or her. He blinked, torn. The murmur around us grew like a tide. I braced for his answer, heart lodged in my throat. I bolted from the table before Mark could answer, my chair scraping so loud I heard it in my skull. The front hall was quiet, dark, the only light trickling under the door to the vestibule. My pulse pounded against my ribs. Wait! Mark called, footsteps thudding behind me. I yanked the doorknob, but it held. Open up! I pounded. Rainwater dripped from the threshold. The vestibule smelled of damp leather and perfume. Anna's perfume. Go away! Her voice floated through the crack. Soft, taunting. I wrenched the door open and shoved past her. She stood shivering in the dim entryway, coat half on, hair plastered to her cheeks. Her eyes were bright, pleading. "Why are you here?" I hissed, voice low. The front lights from the street carved harsh lines across her face. Anna blinked, swallowing. I just wanted to talk." Her coat drooped from her shoulders onto the dirty floor. I noticed footprints in the mud leading inside. My throat tightened. "You crashed my party. You texted my husband. You." "I'm sorry," she cut in, voice quivering. "I didn't mean to." I spun, grabbing Mark by the collar as he stumbled in after me, worry etched on his face. "Tell her to leave." I spat. He reached out, gentle. Please." She grabbed my arm. Her grip was icy. "Wait. Just listen. It's not what you think." A gust rattled the door behind us. I felt my teeth chatter, not from cold but adrenaline. Julie's footsteps echoed down the hall, then Laura's. We were a triangle around Anna, the silence thick as wet carpet. "Then what is it?" I whispered. Anna looked between us, lips trembling. He doesn't know." I blinked. "Know what?" She took a shaky breath. When we were involved, he thought I was someone else." Mark's face went pale. "That's impossible." She shook her head. "No, really. I used to go by Amanda. Mark knew me as Amanda. I started using Anna when I moved cities." My head spun. "So you..." Her voice cracked. "I lied about my name because I'm in witness protection." I laughed, but it felt brittle. "Witness protection?" She nodded, tears shining. "My ex brought some serious danger into my life. I changed everything, my job, my name, my city. I thought I was safe. Then I saw Mark's profile online." Laura crossed her arms. "Why send him a text tonight?" Anna's hands trembled as she fumbled for her phone. I needed help. I thought he'd understand." Mark took a step toward her. "Why now? Why here?" She glanced at me, pain in her eyes. "Because I knew you'd host, and I hoped maybe you could just talk, figure things out. I didn't mean any harm." I felt tears prick my eyes. The weight of betrayal crashed down, an old college fling, a false identity, a cry for help that wrecked my night. Mark ran a hand through his hair. "You could have called me." She shook her head. "I couldn't risk my location being traced." My throat went dry. I stared at Mark's face, betrayal, confusion, guilt all tangled in his eyes. Julie's voice cut through. "This is insane. We need to end this now." I nodded, voice brittle. "Yes." "Anna, you need to leave. Now." Anna hesitated, then turned toward the door. Muddy footprints marked her path. I felt a pang of pity, but anger blasted through me. Mark lingered by the door, torn between stepping forward and staying still. I noticed his phone fall from his pocket onto the doormat, screen lit with a string of messages from Anna. I picked it up, thumb hovering over the latest one. Laura's hand closed over mine. "Read it." I hesitated, thumb shaking. Pleading, broken, "We need help." Not a wink, not a secret affair. My heartbeat thundered so loud I swear I heard it over the pouring rain. I lifted my head, eyes burning. Mark's voice was soft. "Please put my phone down." I pressed send on a quick text to Anna. "Leave now." Then I shoved the phone into Mark's hand. The door slammed behind her. Silence swallowed us. Wet leaves swirled at our feet. I looked at Mark, chest heaving. "Why didn't you tell me everything?" He searched my face, voice tight. I was scared, for her and for us. My knees wobbled. The raw ache of fear and betrayal twisted in my gut. I realized we were standing in the threshold of our home that felt foreign now. Mark reached for me. I stepped back. "I need air," I said, my voice brittle. He exhaled, eyes haunted. "Come back inside." I shook my head, cold sweat beating at my temples. I stared at the entrance, rain-drenched and empty, then back at him. My chest tightened. "I don't know who you are anymore." Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the dark street. My reflection in the glass door stared back, betrayed, broken, raw. I stood on the front porch, rain soaking through my coat, the world a blur of dripping hedges and distant headlights. My chest heaved, each breath ragged, as Mark's silhouette hovered in the doorway, hesitant, pleading. "I can't do this," I whispered, voice cracking like ice. The wind gusted, carrying the scent of wet earth and roses crushed on the walkway. I slammed the door shut in a reflex, the latches snap echoing like a gunshot. Inside, the house felt too bright, too warm. Shadows danced along the walls where Anna had stood moments ago. My heart hammered, equal parts anger, fear, and grief swirling in my veins. Mark advanced slowly. Please." His voice cracked. "We can fix this." I shook my head, boots clomping on the hardwood as I paced. "Fix what?" I barked. "That you lied for years? That you let her think you were her only hope?" His hand grazed my arm. I was protecting her. My laugh was bitter. Protecting her from what? From telling me the truth? He flinched. The word truth hung between us like broken glass. A sudden thunderclap rattled the windows. I felt my pulse spike. "I never wanted to hurt you," he begged. When she showed up, scared and alone, I panicked. I thought I could handle it. But then, he trailed off, eyes haunted. "But then you realize you were still attached," I finished, voice trembling. To her secrets, to the life you led before me." He dipped his head. I didn't see it that way. I closed my eyes, tasting salt on my lips, tears or rain, I couldn't tell. I pictured every late night he'd spent working, every phone call he'd sneaked away to take. I saw Anna's terrified face in the entryway, muddy footprints leading to our dining room. "I deserve better," I said, voice low but steady. "I deserve someone who trusts me enough to come clean." He swallowed. Then, in a rush, he stepped forward and took both my hands. His grip was warm, insistent. "You're right. I should have told you." I was ashamed. I pulled away, boots skidding on the tile. "Ashamed that you still had feelings? Ashamed that you built a life on half-truths?" He reached into his pocket and brought out his phone, screen dark. "No. Ashamed that I broke my promise to be honest. To be with you fully. I love you, Emily." I panicked because she needed help, and I wasn't sure how to help her without losing you. My breath caught. "So what do you do now?" He swallowed hard, voice trembling. I cut her off. "I'll call the authorities. I'll tell her I won't answer her calls again. I'll erase her number. I'll do anything to show you I choose you." A crack of lightning flashed through the frosted window, illuminating his face, so open, so desperate for forgiveness. I heard my own breath catch, saw the tremor in his hand as he held out his phone. "But what about me?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. My fingers ached to close the distance, but years of trust fractured in an instant. He knelt down in front of me, rain dripping from his shoulders onto the welcome mat. "I'll prove it," he said. "I'll prove it every day." A car splashed through a puddle across the street, the roar of tires on wet asphalt. My heart thudded, a drumbeat of uncertainty. I stared at him, torn between love and betrayal. Then I thought of Julie's steady gaze, of Laura's fierce loyalty, of the way my own reflection mirrored a broken woman. I inhaled, tasting the metallic tang of my tears. "Okay," I whispered. Mark's face lit with relief. He reached into his pocket and my phone buzzed in my coat. I looked down. The screen glowed, a single new message from My breath hitched. Time slowed. I froze, words caught in my throat as the text appeared on the screen. Morning light seeped through the curtains in pale ribbons, turning the room a soft gold. I lay awake, the taste of last night's rain still clinging to my lips. Mark was beside me, eyes shadowed with regret, one hand tangled in the sheets. The house was silent except for the slow tick of the clock, an ordinary sound that felt miraculous after the storm of yesterday. I sat up, heart fluttering like a caged bird. The couch in the living room was littered with Anna's abandoned coat and gloves, remnants of a secret invasion that had pushed us to the brink. My head spun with everything that had happened: the midnight buzz of that text, the shattered glass, Anna's tear-stitched confession, Mark's raw apology on the porch. He stood beside me, lifting his hand to brush a strand of hair from my forehead. "Hey," he whispered, voice hoarse. "I'm sorry." I swallowed, tracing the worn quilt at my lap. "I know." Silence stretched between us, not empty but full of fragile possibility. I remembered Julie's steady presence, Laura's fierce protection, the tiny seed of hope in Mark's eyes when I'd finally agreed to talk. This morning, our story felt like a fresh page, blank and trembling with promise. I swung my feet onto the floor, bare toes brushing cool wood. "I've called witness protection," Mark said, voice thick. "They'll help Anna get to safety. I sent her everything she needs." I nodded, surprised by how calm I felt. "That's good." He reached for me, cradling my hand in both of his. "I also canceled my contractor account. Her number's gone. No more texts, no more secrets." My breath evened out. The weight in my chest loosened. I remembered the sparkle of glass shards on the dining room floor, the thundering of my own pulse, the ache of betrayal that had pounded through my veins. Now, in the hush of morning, those memories felt tempered by something softer: relief, forgiveness, a careful rebuilding. I stood and padded to the window, fingertips resting on the sill. Outside, the rose bushes dripped with dew, flowers I'd planted weeks ago, hoping for new beginnings. The petals, heavy with moisture, curved gently toward the ground, readying themselves to face the day. Mark joined me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. His warmth bloomed against my skin. "Coffee?" he offered. "I made it strong, just how you like." I leaned into him. "Yes, please." Downstairs, the aroma of fresh brew mingled with toasted bread. We shared silent smiles over 2 steaming mugs, the first small ritual of renewal. Each sip tasted like promise, tart, robust, grounded. Later, when friends and family arrived, Julie with her easy grin, Laura with a victorious hug, the house felt alive again. There were no awkward glances, no hushed whispers. Instead, laughter bubbled over pancakes and syrup, simple conversations about weekend plans and work projects. The recent chaos had scraped us raw, but now our bonds felt burnished, stronger for having withstood the fire. In the quiet moments between guests, Mark and I exchanged glances, half apology, half gratitude. We didn't need to speak, our eyes said it all. We had fallen, hurt each other, and yet here we were, choosing to stay. As the sun climbed higher, I stepped back onto the porch, inhaling the sharp scent of morning air and wet earth. The house stood behind me, solid, familiar, ours. I touched one of the dew-glazed roses, petals cool beneath my fingers. Beneath the surface of broken glass and secret messages lay something resilient, something real. I turned to Mark, who had just come up behind me. He offered his hand, a small, hopeful gesture. I took it. Standing there, heart steady for the first time in days, I realized what truly mattered wasn't the absence of secrets. It was the presence of honesty, the choice to keep showing up. I learned that only honesty can mend a shattered heart.